What is up, Everyday Athlete Podcast Network listeners? Thank you for joining me on today's episode as I will be talking to Lisa Nichols, who is a co-founder of ALLMYNE, which is a travel app that we have partnered with to record essentially our trips to San Francisco, which you will see coming out here on Instagram and YouTube Shorts this week, as well as going to Seattle, to Hustle in the Heartland in Lebanon, Indiana. And then we're also going to be doing a special Everyday Athlete Clubhouse get-together in New York City for the New York City Marathon. So I'm excited to talk to Lisa because she's been to 152 countries, which would lead her to being an expert in travel. And that is one of the reasons why I can't wait to have her on the show, because I can't wait to hear all of her stories of travel all across this globe and how the ALLMYNE concept came to be and why we should all be using it when we go on our travels. So that's a lot of words from me. Let's bring Lisa on so we can hear more from her. Lisa, how are you?
Great. How are you?
I am fantastic. So our show starts off with one question. I don't do a ton of research other than I know that you've been to 152 countries. But the question that I always start every guest out with is, it's a simple question that has in-depth answer. And that question is, who is Lisa Nichols?
Great question. I am an avid traveler. I am someone that who's been fortunate enough to travel her whole life. I've lived overseas and I have studied overseas. I speak different languages. I speak two very well and I bumble in two others, and I know lots of words and I know how to say cheers in several languages. Never compete with me in a competition for cheers and shots. It's not a good idea.
What countries did you live in?
I've lived in France, I've lived in Nigeria, I've lived in England, I've lived in Canada, I've lived in Germany. So, mostly, those are the lived in ones. And the US, of course.
A lot of times, right, we wind up in places by choice. A lot of times we are, depending on the work that you do, not by choice, you end up. So your travels to 152 countries have been by choice, a mixture of choice and, hey, we need you over here. Like, what's been the driving force for you when it comes to travel?
Well, the travel has been for pleasure. I would love for someone to pay me to travel, hence my app. But the way it started is my grandfather said to me one day, I've been to 55 countries. And I'm like, really? Never thought about it. Let me count. And I was at 50. So I had to beat him. So that's where it started. And I said, well, maybe to get to 100, there must be some clubs for people who get to 100 or something. So I looked up different clubs that offer, that you can join once you make 100 countries. And then it became a mission. Every trip, every wedding, every party, I would add a country. I would go to your wedding in Colombia and I would add Ecuador and Peru, or something like that. So that's how it started.
So when you're going to these countries to weddings, like, how are you making friends with these people to go to their weddings? Is it through networking, through the app? Like, how is it that you've been invited to a wedding in a different country?
That's the $1 million question. I live in New York City, so I meet lots of foreigners.
Great point.
And having traveled and lived overseas, going to schools overseas, you make friends from around the world. And I've just been fortunate enough they invite me because they know I like to go to a good party, to the wedding. I like to dance, eat, and drink. You really don't want anything else from somebody at a wedding.
No kidding. That's exactly it. There was a post on Threads the other day that said, if somebody paid you $2,000 to go to a wedding every weekend, would you do it? And I was like, clear the dance floor and here's my ACH number. Like, yes.
Yes. Everyone's in a good mood. Weddings are great.
Right? You mentioned New York City, and I'm a born and raised New Yorker. And once you mentioned New York City and all the travel, my first thought went to UN Week, because I worked on 46th and 3rd, which is around the corner from the United Nations. And during UN Week, I know a lot of New Yorkers get upset because there's traffic and there's just tons of people everywhere. But I loved it and embraced it because I got to see and hear even more languages being spoken. And the seeing part was how they were dressed, right? They're dressed based on whatever country they were from. And I found it so fascinating. So for you, like, what's your favorite part of travel? Is it and I'm probably asking a question that's like splitting hairs, right? Is it food? Is it culture? Is it dress? Is it music? Like, what is it that you're like, I can't wait to go to this country because they have these things in this order?
I mean, it would be all of that because I've had
Right.
clothes made in many countries. I've bought clothes. Of course, I brought spices and food. I mean, I embrace the full experience. I don't care if I'm there 2 days or 2 months, whatever the time frame is in a country. I try enjoy it to the fullest. I'm always fascinated, like Ecuador. You look at some of the color combinations, like who could wear that? But then you're like, it's actually quite beautiful. But your brain is trying to process these loud, vibrant mixes. And you're like, and then the other day I wore a combination. Most people would be like, but you just start to embrace the color. Or in India, I'm like, who can wear fluorescent green? Not a lot of people. Some Indian women are absolutely gorgeous in this fluorescent green saris and
Yeah.
sahwaz and things. So I embrace all of it.
When you see TV shows and documentaries and you see Indian weddings and it's the rainbow is everywhere, it is amazing to be able to see that vibrancy because in America, one of the things that I've noticed recently is as I go through life and I'm noticing things like we just recently bought a car, and this is the example I'm going to give. When we went out on the lot, they were like, you can have black, white, or silver. And I'm like, okay, where's the red? Where's the blue? Where's the green? Where's the yellow? Where's the orange? And it was like black, white, and silver. And I was disappointed. Like, why would we want to live in a world that's muted?
I try not to. I'm wearing green today. I mean, I agree. I mean, there's a place for black, green, and silver, but sometimes I tell everyone, well, now you know my secret. Whenever I'm very tired, I wear bright colors.
Okay.
It's just, I don't do it on purpose, but I've noticed that if I'm tired or jet lagged, I will put on a bright color because I think I look brighter. Maybe I will look less tired. And
Yeah.
it's just something I did naturally. So I think colors are the basic way to happiness, to enjoying things.
Do you associate colors, any colors in particular, with countries? Like if you see blue, you automatically think Paris and France. Like, are you able to do that?
Wow, I love that question. And I might have to, because I made my book club read a book called The Secret Lives of Color. That's how much I love color.
I love it.
I embrace color. It was my book club was like, but then they all loved the book. I mean, it's about the history of color. Literally, why purple? Why some painters used it? Why this? How it killed some people because it had lead. I mean, it's fascinating the history of color. And so, have I attributed countries? I mean, first thing that comes to mind is maybe flags, but like
Right.
the blue skies of San Diego, the West Coast just pops into your mind, which is a different blue from a New York blue
Correct.
slightly. So I haven't done that, but I think I will start to do it more as to
We'll have
what
to have you.
colors.
We'll have to have you back because, like here, I live in Phoenix, so you think of Southwest U.S., like turquoise comes into play, and some of that ombre where you have yellows and oranges and purples come into play. But I asked a question I don't have an answer to as well. If somebody was to say New York, like my first inclination is orange and blue, but that's because I'm a Mets fan, and right, and the colors of the flag of the city are orange, white, and blue. Hence the Long Island, the New York Islanders are the color, and so are the Knicks in that color scheme. But I don't know that I have another color scheme for New York in that sense, right? Like I'd have to. We might have to write the book together.
I like the challenge. You've piqued my curiosity. I mean, when I think of New York, I think black because when I lived in California, I could not wait to get out of California because I'm like, these people don't wear black. They wear flip flops and chinos. This is I need some black. Well, now that I've been here long enough, I'm tired of black. I need some
Yeah.
color. Everyone's coat is black. Everyone's like,
Yep.
oh my God, let's get some color in here, folks, on the subway. I mean, it is ugly orange right now and some blues, but yeah. So I think that's a great idea. Let's think about it.
So we've gotten colors. I want to ask because I believe that the best way to get to know people and culture is through food. Um, uh, Again, in this country, we tend to like the homogenized versions of fast food or fast casual. where I would prefer to find the local mom and pop shop that I can go in and meet the owner, who's also cooking, who's also front of house, who's doing everything at their restaurant, but they're putting their heart and soul into it, and it's not just coming out of a bag, right? And so when you 152 countries, I'm sure you've had some amazing meals. Is there like a top 3, top 5 meals you've had across this globe?
I mean, from like the 25-cent thali in India and the street that was just lentils and rice. But sometimes, like your level of hunger, some food tastes so good, you're like
Yes.
starving. This 25-cent meal was probably, but I think I was just so hungry,
Right.
or you're overstarved. I mean, I don't want to name countries, but like I was in a country where the food, I was done with. I don't know what it was. Something. I was like, no more. I can't eat any. Let's just say
Right.
rice. I was done with rice. Couldn't have any more rice if you paid me. So we went into another restaurant that served us pasta, and I was like, oh, this was the best meal because I was done. Could not eat any more rice and beans. Once again, not naming countries,
Yeah.
but it was just too much. So
Well, I will tell you this, as a Puerto Rican kid, the first time I went to Puerto Rico, I was like 11 or 12 years old, and I couldn't believe that every single meal was included rice and beans. Like every single meal, there was a pot or a bowl, excuse me, of rice and beans next to the eggs or next to the pancakes. And growing up in New York, like that's not how my parents served the food, but that's the culture on the island. And so I'm with you there. I was like taken aback by the idea that rice and beans would be on at every meal, including breakfast. It was strange to me to see that. But
yeah.
one of the things we do in this country, right, I've seen it in on YouTube videos when they interview people that are outside the U.S. and they're like, I don't understand how you eat dessert in the morning, because they like all of our meals in outside of savory eggs, obviously, but like pancakes and waffles, they equate that to dessert,
Yeah.
whereas they're going to get something savory in their country.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to guess, um, in terms of food, the place or the city or the atmosphere in which you can recall vividly, like I remember being in this city at this time, the meal, the atmosphere, the company, maybe it was just you. Like, do you have those memories? Because I have to imagine with 152 countries, things might tend to get jumbled up every now and again. But do you have like a memory or two where you can explicitly say, this is where I was and this is why this was great?
So like 2, 3, several. I mean, so many examples are popping into my head. I'm like, either I can go into the shocking, like, you go to the exotic market in China and you eat a lot, you sample a lot of variety of creatures you never do, because that's the whole idea, is to try these things. Or I can go to the store in Naples the first time I had an real Italian pizza, and I was like, wow, this is really liquidy. It's not like the solid New York cheese, but it was
Right.
absolutely delicious with the home house wine, red wine. And I'm like, this was so good. And this was not a starvation case. It was really good. But it was just, the pizza was so different from what I was used to here in the States. So, each of those examples, or, you buy a beer, and in Thailand, you pick your crickets and your ants and your this, and they pile it, like we pile nuts into like a cone. That was it. And, I was chomping away and drinking my beer until like a little antenna came out, and I was like, oh, wait, I am eating. I'd forgotten what I was eating, because it was savory, it was salty. Anything fried and salty, you can eat.
You're in. Right. That's amazing.
An antenna, like, oh.
Have you ever thought about, like, when you come back from a country and you've had a meal or even a beer, let's say, or a drink, that you like seek it out in this country? Like, where could I kind of replicate that
Usually
meal, especially in New York
wine.
City?
I've done that with wine or some hard alcohol. I brought my dad back some tequila from Mexico that he's been begging me to find, and I've been looking for. It was on, oh my God, Holbox, the island of Holbox. I can't remember. They have a whole tequila. It was delicious. It was like a tequila cognac. I don't know what they did. It was absolutely delicious. And of course, I had to sample several tequilas to pick that one for him. But, and I haven't been able to find it. I have tried to track it down. So yes, I have tried sometimes to find things.
I can imagine, because again, right, like, so one a few years ago, my wife and I drove from Phoenix to Ouray, Colorado, and we drove through Gallup, New Mexico. And we stayed overnight in Gallup, New Mexico, and we were looking for places, and we eat vegetarian, vegan diets, and we found a place, and it was Middle Eastern. And we sit down, and from the back kitchen comes the chef and owner, and she's talking to us, and it turns out she's Palestinian. And we have this great conversation. We're there for like an hour or two, asking like, how do Palestinians find Gallup, New Mexico, right? Like if Albuquerque, Santa Fe, I got it, but like Gallup, New Mexico. And she explained it to us. And that meal, I can vividly remember the smells and the aroma from the kitchen. And I can remember the food that we ate, and it'll never be replicated. Like it's the unique situation there. Like we'd have to go back to Gallup to have that memory last all over again. When you're out traveling, are you doing your best to try to meet the people that are in the restaurant or at the bar, let's say, or in a museum, and really get the local culture?
I mean, of course, I try and ask as many people, please tell me where you would go.
Right, yes.
Where would you go? Not just the tour spot. I mean, sometimes it is the tour spot. Somebody asked me, sometimes the tour spot is the best spot. And sometimes it is that little secret that they tell you to go down the corridor and the whatever, and you can have a fantastic meal. So I do try. You do your best to ask people. Sometimes they don't want to share because they're like embarrassed. I'm like, this isn't, I understand, not Western standards, that it's going to be X standard. I'm okay with that. But if it's good food, I often do it with music, because I will buy music around the world. I'm probably the only person who asks for CDs because I can upload them in my computer. And so I tell them, I don't care if it's heavy metal or classical or folk or jazz. What do you like? Or dance? And they're like, well, this is really good, or this is, and people are always surprised. I'm like, what do you like? Because if it's good enough people like it, I don't have to understand the words. I can feel this rhythm and the sounds, and I can feel the music. And so I have music, I have no clue what they're saying, but I've enjoyed, different levels of music like that.
I could not agree more with you. Like, I get it if you have allergies for food, but if you don't, it doesn't matter what the food is if it tastes good, right? But, and I'm making this up, but like if you're in your mind don't like tofu and somebody says, here's a tofu dish, you're gonna be turned off to it, right? Your mind's already made up that you're not gonna like it. And it's the same with music too, right? If it's good music, you don't care what the lyrics are. You're just into the music itself. And so I could totally see how that opportunity to listen to good music, whether it's at like a jazz type of bar in a different country, or heavy metal, like you said, or whatever the genre of music is, if it's good, you're into it. Period. End of story.
100%.
So, like, have you had to buy like external hard drives for all the music that you've brought from?
I have an iPod that's filled, and the thing is, every time I change computer, Apple tries to say, well, we don't have to transfer this. I say, I own the CD. I own the downstream. That's why I pay for it, so that you guys can't keep it or deny me using it. Sorry, Apple, I didn't say that out loud, but yes.
So help me out here now. So we've established, right, you have been to all of these countries. You have fantastic memories. You love the food, you love the music, you love cultures and colors. How does this all translate into one day you going, aha, we need to start collecting this, we need to put it in a central location, so that, like, how did all of this travel become the inspiration, motivation for ALLMYNE?
Well, basically, my friend, my co-founder, Tom, and I, we've traveled quite a bit. I gave him the travel bug, so he made it to his 100 countries. He would say now 109. He's going to kill me because maybe I'm off. He says 16 now, but don't kill me, Tom. And so, as long as I'm ahead. And we're always like, how could we get a job working in travel that, something that would help us or that we would enjoy. And we're always trying to think of ideas because my full-time job is I'm a shrink. I manage a mobile crisis team in a hospital and a psych ED, which I love. I 100% love it, but I love travel a lot too. So
Right.
how could I incorporate the energy and that comes through working here? And Tom is a risk manager. How could he translate that? So basically just trial and error. We thought of a dozen different ideas before ALLMYNE came about. And even how the name came about, that took another 6-7 months to try and figure out. We had lots of different combinations in our name and this name, and till one day we're like, we really want something that's just all ours, all mine. I'm like, that's our name.
Oh,
Literally, I
that's
said, that
awesome.
is our name. ALLMYNE, because we want the data to be all yours, all your words, all your pictures. It's all yours. It's not all, ALLMYNE is for you. We really
Yeah.
want people to use it.
And so how long have you been working on building out the app?
I mean, we've been, I'd say 3-4 years, but having
Yeah.
it out in the market, it's about 1.5 years now.
So
So it's
when
been a
you got,
labor of love.
yeah, it always is. When you got started, what were your thoughts in terms of the amount of work that would go into it, in terms of what the final, and I use that word loosely because I don't know that it's ever final. When you're an entrepreneur, there's always tinkering. But when you first started building it, what were the must-haves?
In the app, the must-haves were the journal, the postcards, and being able to share it with other people. The community journal kind of came afterwards, where like the three of us, or I'm saying Tom's here, but the two of us are traveling, and we want to have a combined journal together so that your photos, my photos, so I don't have to say, send me your photos, send me your photos.
Right.
They'll be in the combined journal. What your thoughts were about the trip, or my thoughts, our itinerary within it would be there, and then we just share it. And then we can share it with other people, or just have it between us and have a nice printed album or postcards. But that was really the basic. The AI and trip assistance, that came much later. Having AI to assist with creating the trip, having tour guides was not the initial idea, but that came quickly afterwards.
It feels like the idea of sharing comes from the traveling that you did do, and probably Tom as well, because that's a shared experience. When you go into a restaurant, when you go to a concert, when you check into a hotel, that's a shared experience with the person across the counter. And so that, to me, correct me if I'm wrong, but to me, that sounds why it was important for you to have that community journal, because it is a shared experience.
Everything is. Yeah, I like the example of coming into the hotel. They're your first point of contact for everything.
Yeah.
Restaurants, cultural visits, shows to see, depending, whatever level of hotel, my $1 hotel or your $500 hotel.
Yeah.
There's always someone there who is surprised when you ask them just to tell me, how do I say hello, thank you, goodbye? In those 3 words, they're always surprised. I'm like, give me the basics. How do I start off? And then I usually say, cheaper. How can you make this cheaper? How much? But I do start with, hello, how are you? And thank you. Goodbye.
People will say, I can go to Yelp and get reviews, and I can go to this platform to get this, and I can go to this platform to get that. And while I don't disagree with them, there's a lack of personal. It's impersonal when I go to Yelp and I see Susan H from Walla Walla, Washington, and her 2.5-star review. Like, I don't know who Susan is, and so that review is useless to me. Does the community journal create that scenario? Not necessarily like a Yelp review, but you saying to the people that you're traveling with, remember this restaurant? And it brings up that memory, as opposed to like a review of whether or not you want to go to that restaurant, right?
Which is funny because we are changing some features in the app, and we're actually adding that review portion. Well, not just review, but more like how many people around the world have been there that logged in.
Cool. Yeah.
And so that is coming up. This is we're streamlining things. And so in our next iteration, all of that, and that will be exactly part of it, because that's what we were trying to get to, is like you and I can remember we put liked we were here. So it's not just like a Google check-in, but we actually have a memory that's attached with our pictures, and all of that will be part of your journal, digital journal, or, if you make it printed journal. Yes.
Because I want to remember my trip with you and the things that we did, as opposed to the Yelp review of the trip, which is going to be one of thousands, right? And I think what's really cool, and correct me if I'm wrong based on what you said, so you and I go to a restaurant, we check into the restaurant, or we take a picture through the Trailblazer journal, and it marks us in there. The app is then going to say 2 people who are using the app have been to this restaurant, and then maybe another thousands of people, whomever it might be. But it's not necessarily a review. It's more of a, like, all of these people have been there, and it insinuates you should go there too.
Correct. You couldn't have said it better. Thank you. It's so new to me. I just spoke with a developer about it. But so yes, that's what's coming. It's so hot off the presses that literally an hour ago.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
We did
pretty
it.
Much. Breaking news.
But I love that, because I think that provides, again, an unbiased review, an unbiased concept of this particular restaurant. Because out of 1,000 people, I don't have the same taste as the 999 other people that have been there, right? I want to go experience it for myself the first time. And it's sort of like, so when people ask me, Jason, when you go back to New York City, where do you go for coffee? Where do you go for a sit-down meal? Where do you go for pizza? And I tell them, first of all, I go to 72nd and Columbus, and I go to Black Press Coffee on one side of the street, and I go to Ella's Social on the other side of the street. One for coffee, one for like tapas style food, and then I go to Hell's Kitchen to Tavola for pizza. And if I'm checking in through the Trailblazer app in that journal, it's telling that. And so if they connect with me as a friend, they will see those components, and then they can also see the other 999 people that have gone there too. That's genius. Like, that's really smart.
It's hot off the presses. It's not done yet, but it's going to be.
Me too. And so will that be for essentially all of the pictures and the journals that people are using? So, for example, we were in San Francisco, and we went to a little park to go for a walk. My wife and I, we walked for about 2 or 3 miles, and we took pictures in the Trailblazer app. Would that be something that when somebody was to log in, if they were friends of mine, they would see that we went there, and it would be sort of recommended along with whomever else is using the app as a place to go?
That's a good well, the location would be.
Yeah.
Yes. So all of your pictures, like X Park, Central Park, or whatever. Yes, that would be located. Yes, shown up in your pictures on your map of the trip you took. Yes.
And so then if I'm creating or
but it's only shared with people you give permission to, or unless you make it public. So there's 2 options. If you keep it private, then it stays private only with people you sent it to. But if you make it public, then anyone who's following you or can look you up, then if it's public, they can find it.
Oh, see, that's cool. Yeah. Because then you can kind of create your own itinerary from what everybody else who is in your circle, if it's all in the private section, or what the public is telling you is a great place to do. Again, as a New Yorker, I typically don't go to Times Square, right? And so I want to connect with the people who are going to places on the Upper East Side or the Upper West Side or to Harlem or Brooklyn, and be able to then build an itinerary for my next trip there, to be able to say, okay, we can get from this place to this place to this place fairly easily.
Yeah.
I think that's a really smart use of the app. So take us through the app in terms of usage. Is there a free version? Is there a paid version? How do people get to use the ALLMYNE app?
The app is, I always say 90% free, pretty much. There is a pro version where you get Trailblazer, which is when it pulls in the photos automatically, and it does like a nice AI write-up. You can also add your own words, or like people's names that AI is not going to know, things like that. If you just want to try out the app initially, then yes, you can get a lot of, and you can create a manual journal. You can still do the postcards. You can still do the journals, the printed journals and stuff like that. So it's manual versus digital. you have we have a little brain that's going to be changing, but the brain, the AI you can ask questions about, like, if I'm going to travel to Malawi, do I need yellow fever shot? It's
Oh, really?
only, yeah, but it's only travel related, or it will refer you to, this is too much of a medical question, you need to talk to, a real doctor.
Right. Yeah.
But if the CDC says you need X, Y, and Z, then, that's what we'll suggest. Obviously, if you're not in the United States, then it would be your health department that the AI would pull from to suggest because every country has different requirements
Right.
for their citizens, which is quite shocking. You'd think we'd all need the same thing, but that's okay.
It almost sounds like it's a self-contained passport to the world. If I can ask, what shots do I need if I'm going to Ethiopia or if I'm going to China, type of thing. And then the imagery from taking the pictures can be included in there. Like, you're creating your own photo album, it's not a photo album, but your own journal of your trip, including being able to ask questions of the place that you're going, that, again, outside of super medical questions, which you should talk to your doctor anyway. Was that sort of like the vision as you started working this out? Like, hey, if we can create this, that it's all in one for a person, that they don't need to go to these other places?
That evolved as AI sprung out when we were in the middle of designing all this.
Yeah.
And that's why in addition, we have a booking flights ability, and we're adding trains and buses as well. At least the whole idea is so that when you create your trip, everything will be in there. Like, my plane tickets are here. Just reminding you, day 1 and 2, I'm going to be in London. 3, I catch the train to Paris. These tickets are in your Apple Pay or whatever it is. You have notes, so everything is organized for you. It's kind of like your own personal travel agent that you've created. Or if a travel agent does do it for you, or a tour guide, it could pull in as well. But trying to keep it all in one place, and so that when you take your pictures, tick, 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 it's all there, and you don't have to tell someone, I think Tuesday I was in Paris, but then we went to Versailles,
Yes.
You're like, where, what? So that's the idea, to try and make things easier for you. And that's why the advantage of Pro and Trailblazer is because it links to your metadata, and your trip will just pull in nicely. Otherwise, you just have to do it manually. And, I'd started day 1, and, you pull in the pictures that you want. So
I have the Pro version, and we just, like I said, we're in San Francisco. And here's what the coolest thing for me was. So I create the journal, and it says San Francisco from X day to Y day. And then when you're using the app to take pictures, you see the dates. There's little tiny calendars, right? And so you take the picture, it stores it on August 1st, it take the picture, it stores it on August 2nd. So then when you click back on August 1st, you can see all the things that you did on that day. Click to August 2nd, you can see all the things that you did on that day. And I thought that was the coolest thing. Like, honestly, I thought that was the coolest thing, because I didn't have to figure out organizing it. Where was I when this happened? It's all right there for me. And then when I share the album with Lori or Santino, and they're adding in their pictures, it all goes into the same day as based on when they took it, because they're using a travel journal app as well, in the app, excuse me. Like, that is super, super smart. And as I was using it, it made me wonder, when you were traveling prior to digital age, when you had a Polaroid or a regular camera, was that the stimuli of, we need to make this seamless? Because I remember going through photo just nodding yes. For those of you who are listening, Lisa's just nodding yes to this whole question.
Well, the whole idea with, like, I'm giving it away, but I guess part of it was, when I created albums, I would put tickets, maybe some money, I would put pamphlets of things in it to complete my pictures, so I would have my ticket stub of the Cure that I saw in London or whatever, something like that, next to some pictures that I printed out, and I've labeled who was with me. And so, I'm very proud. It took me hours to do this, but I loved it. And so that was our initial idea, to create that into the digital format of your digital trip.
Yeah.
That you can print out portions of, here's the money, here's the stickers of the trip tickets to the trip and the everything. So yes, and it's much lighter than carrying my big photo album to somebody.
I want to go to that for a second, though, because I'm old school. I grew up with newspapers. I grew up with magazines. I worked at the Dallas Morning News. And so I like to
I
hold
carried
stuff.
newspapers. That Sunday paper is heavy, man. I can tell you, I made a lot of money, but it was heavy.
It was heavy. So I like to hold things. And so with the app, right, you mentioned a couple of times postcards and photo albums. So if you don't mind explaining further, is that something that when we're in the app, we can select to have either postcards sent while we're on the trip to friends and family, and then when we're done, we can actually have a photo album printed in a book and sent to us, mailed to us?
100% correct. I am so proud of both of those features. I mean, I love the postcard feature because they're my pictures.
Right.
And it comes in a real postcard. So it's a hard postcard with a real stamp on it. Yes, the writing, people are happy because my handwriting is so bad. They don't even know how my postcards arrived. They can barely read the postcard. They're like, why did you waste your time? Well, now you can read it. You can have different colors, Dear Jason, blah, blah, blah. And you just pull it in there, the address, and people will get a real postcard with your top 3 pictures with you on them or not, or wherever it is. I absolutely love it. You don't find a post office anymore. I mean, I feel bad because I love the post office because I've been so religious to them with my postcards around the world. I mean, I've even give flight attendants, please take this back to the country I left with them in my bag. So
I'm a huge post office person too. We were just at one the other day because I had to mail out some packages for our Everyday Athlete Clubhouse. And I enjoy the conversation because, again, it's also another doorway into the culture of the area that you are in. Since I've started this business, I've been to post offices in Dallas, in Phoenix, in Seattle, in Thousand Oaks, California, in Los Angeles, California. And it's been cool to just talk to the person on the other side of the counter and get to know them. It's 5 minutes, but that experience will never leave me. I will forever remember the postal worker in LA. I will forever remember the postal worker that I met here in Phoenix 3 weeks ago, because they're enlightening me to this package is going here, and they have so much knowledge. So I'm with you on the postal service, but I'm also with you in the idea, if I could just take a picture, pay for it through the app, and an actual real postcard goes to somebody, so I don't have to go look for a actual postcard. That's awesome.
Yep. And I mean, just a little secret, which is not an anti-anything, but when I've traveled, I've also, like you, I've bought too much, and at some point you can't carry anymore, so you have to go to the post office and bundle it up, and that's when you really learn about culture. Like how I bundled in India was different from how I bundled in China, because China, for some reason, it was in Chinese and French because the official language of the post office is still French around the world.
Wow.
You'll notice it's Chinese, so it's Chinese and French. I speak French, so I thought that was amusing, the diplomatic language. But in India, the guy at the post office said, if you want your postcards to actually leave here, you need to put a line through the stamp, because otherwise we take them off and we resell it. So they take the stamp off and resell the stamp. So I've always learned to put a line, you just cross with your pen through, so they can't resell the stamp and they have to mail it.
What a story. And has that the only experience has been in India for that, or do you do that everywhere?
I do it everywhere. Ever since I heard that, it made sense.
Yeah,
so
it does
basically,
make
you're
sense.
invalidating the stamp. They cannot resell it, because otherwise they would just and resell
That's
the stamp.
Unbelievable. And I'm sure somebody would be like, "Oh my goodness!" But I pay. Look, that's how different cultures are. That's how people do different things around the world. Like we learn to embrace things outside of the American culture. It's acceptable. Yeah. It's okay, right? People do things differently. There's not a problem with that.
Yeah, don't scratch up the stamp. Just a slight line, so that obviously they know the stamp was still valid, because they're going to validate it. But yeah, that little tidbit. But it was funny how I've had to package things around the world to mail them.
That's awesome. So with the photo album, are there limitations on the size if I wanted to turn the trip in San Francisco into a photo album, are there limitations? What do I need to put in
The
there?
minimum is 24 pages,
Okay.
which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're trying to fill in pictures, all of a sudden, because you have different formats, you can have 1 picture, 3 pictures, horizontal, you can have all these different shapes each page. So it can either pull in if you want. If you're pro, it will pull it in and fill all the pictures in that you want. And then you can change out or you can add text as you want. And then, every page after I think is $1 or 50 cents or whatever. So 24, 36, but you need a minimum of 24 pages for a nice book. So it's hardcover, it's horizontal, and it's a hardcover book. Yes.
And then is it just pictures, or can we put in comments to say?
You can put in comments, and location will show at the bottom of the page. And then the formatting of the page you can see. So if you pick the page that has comments, then you can write comments.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's. Yeah.
Hopefully I'm not making more work for your developers, but you mentioned how you would put tickets from the Cure in your photo album for years ago when you were assembling them yourself. In the app, could I leave a space blank so that when the album comes, I can either tape in or glue a Cure ticket into that space?
I love it.
Sorry, developers. Sorry, developers. I didn't mean to make extra work for you.
I wonder how. I mean, obviously, the first and last page are blank because you have the hardcover, and then you might have the title here. So technically, you'd have a blank page. Now I'm going to have to look at one of my albums to see. Or leave it blank and put mementos at the top, and we'll know that's a page. It'll be like the mementos page or something. But I do love it. Why not?
And the reason why I'm thinking of this is when we go to Seattle in September, we're looking to go to a Mariners game because Santino has never been to T-Mobile Park in Seattle. And so we want to go to a game. And I was just thinking to myself, if we order the photo album, or when we order the photo album, it'd be cool. Although we probably don't get ticket stubs. We'd have to take a picture of our.
True. It would be your QR code.
Our QR code.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I guess I don't even know outside of airplanes. Does anybody do tickets anymore? Because you can print your ticket for your boarding pass.
You can print them. I think sometimes you can get hard copies and plays and stuff. If you go to the ticket office, you still get a few. You do still get tickets. Some people out there are still getting tickets besides the printed ones. Yeah.
It would be amazing. And again, I don't mean to put any more work on your developers, but if the metadata says I took this picture at T-Mobile Park, that the photo album would ask you, do you want to put a picture of your ticket here or something of that nature where it connects the two, because you have the metadata.
You have it anyway. We do. I mean, that's part of what we're doing with the airplane and train. Why not?
Yeah. By the way, what's your favorite mode of transportation? Car, train, plane, buggy, bike?
Done them all. Horse riding, walking, done everything. You name it, I've done it. I've been on 3rd class bus, 2nd class bus, 1st class. I have stood, I have swam, I've paddled, I've done it all.
Wait, what do you mean you swam?
Just kidding, maybe not swimming, but I've paddled.
That's a heck of a trip if you got to swim from one island to the next.
Well, for that little day trip, just kidding. Holding your bag here, swimming.
That would
but
be amazing.
My favorite mode, planes have gotten so horrible because they're so short, the seats. I'm tall, so I'm almost 6 feet, so, I'm all legs. Yeah. No body, all legs. So planes have gotten short. Once again, I think trains sometimes, just because you're slowly going across country and you have enough leg room and you can get up and walk around. But since I like to travel, I've got to love planes, going far away. So in cars, I like the freedom of it being impromptu. I tell everyone, mandatory, every human should learn how to ride a bike, swim, and drive stick. And when you can drive stick, you can drive anything. You can drive a truck, you can drive a snowmobile, you can drive a motor scooter, you can drive anything once you understand the mechanics of stick. And so, yes, driving stick through the mountains of Montenegro was heart pounding. I think I lost 5 pounds from the stress. But it was fun. You're coming up the hill and 90-degree turn and there's a truck. And he looks at me, I'm like, I'm not backing up. And he could tell I was terrified. So he maneuvered his truck backwards so I could go by.
We drove from Durango to Ouray in Colorado, and you have to take the $1 Million Mile through that area. And I don't know that I've ever been more scared in a car, and I was the passenger. Thank goodness I wasn't driving, because if I was driving, I would have been petrified. Like, there's no shoulder, there's nothing there. One false move and the party is over, like Swan Song City. And you see the videos in other countries where these 18-wheelers are maneuvering through mountains where there's literally zero room for both sets of tires, and yet they're doing it. It's amazing.
I scared myself, and I like to drive. And I was just like, oh, like I said, I think I lost 5 pounds from stress.
I absolutely love trains. I think that we have done a disservice in this country by not building high-speed rail. We went from Geneva to Paris and from Paris to London, and it was fantastic to see the countryside from train. I've taken Amtrak, and growing up in the Northeast, you take Amtrak to Boston, to Philly, and I just think it's a fantastic mode of transportation where it's less stressful too, right? Like, sure, you got to be on the train by a certain time, but there's just none of the other stuff that comes with getting on a plane that makes the travel even more enjoyable, I find.
And you're going city to city. You're inside the city. You're there. You don't have to go out 2 hours ahead. Wait,
Which is exactly right.
Running for the train.
Dragging the suitcase behind you.
Dragging it.
But I just find it easier. Like, I can bring my coffee there. Like, I don't have any issues. We went from, like I said, Geneva to Paris, and I had ordered a coffee, and the lady was like, "Oh, you just pour it into the cup that has a lid on it to screw it down, the travel mug, and you're fine." I was like, "Oh, okay. You don't have to throw this out." And she was like, "No." I was like, "Awesome. Sign me up for this all day." So we've established where your whole idea of travel came into be, the places you've gone to, the food, the music, the scenes, how that has led to ALLMYNE and the app. Where do you see this going into the future?
I mean, we have so many ideas.
Yeah.
That's why we are excited about this app. I mean, we're at the tip of the iceberg for this app. Where do we see it? I mean, I think it's limitless. Travel is limitless. If you can envision it, you can bring it to life through our app, other apps, the beauty of travel, the success of travel, the joy of travel. I don't see any limit to anything part of travel that we couldn't add to it.
I'm not asking you for secrets, but are there some things that you absolutely will not do? So, for example, for us, we don't do shoe reviews. Like, everybody's foot is different. And so we'll have companies ask us, will you do a shoe review? And I say no, because the shoe review is only good for me. The shoe worked for me or it didn't work for me. Your foot is much different, and I just don't want to do that. So we don't do product reviews for running shoes. In your mind, are there things like you're like, I'm just not going to do that because I don't think it fits our ethos for our brand?
Wow, that's a stump question. I haven't in the world of travel. Is there something we won't do?
Like, when you look at your whiteboard and you and Tom are talking and you're putting stuff up there, I have to imagine at some point you're like, yeah, this is not for us, and you just crossed it out. Or does it all stay up there until you absolutely eliminate it?
Either until we absolutely, right now, I'm truly blanking. What would we not do in relation to travel?
I like the fact that I've been able to ask 2 or 3 questions that have alluded to great answers, including non-answers, because that's a great answer. You're saying to the audience and to me today, right? The world is our oyster, and when we come across something, then we'll cross it off. But why limit ourselves today? I think that's a fantastic approach to your business.
Thank you. I mean, that's also good and bad because there's so much we want to do. It's too much. We're always having to narrow down. This is what you're supposed to be working on. We're like, but this is so cool. And this would be wonderful. So that's why I'm having a hard time as to
Here's a
what
wild
will I
one.
eliminate.
Okay, so I want to make a reservation at an uber fancy restaurant in Paris, and there is an attire, right? If I said to you, Lisa, would you incorporate into your app that clothing that I can get from stores near this restaurant that would allow me to walk into the door of that restaurant? Is that something you'd be like, we should build that?
Yes. Because it's funny you say that because we have thought part of it was to have people put in, I like Michelin star restaurants. So if you're walking along, it would say, hey, Jason, you're near a Michelin. Why not add, there's some clothes next door. I mean, we're not getting the money. They're getting the money. We're just suggesting,
it's
go
a
next
service.
door.
I bring it up because when we were in Paris, I had shorts on and we went to a restaurant and the maitre d' said, sorry. And it's not like I was in jorts. Like I didn't look like a bum. I had a polo shirt on and shorts. And he said, no, I'm sorry, long pants only. And I was so happy to be turned down because the idea that they have a level for their company, for their restaurant, and they weren't going to concede just for a few bucks that I might pay them, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really, really amazing because I can imagine there would be people who would be upset, right? Like I look good, I look clean, I don't look like I just rolled out of bed. But they had a standard, and I appreciated that, and I loved it. And we wound up finding another cafe and had a wonderful time there too.
Sure. No, I agree. I mean, here in New York, they'll give you a jacket. Like if some places require a jacket, which is nice, but they can't give you full shorts. That just was too much, too high a bar to cross.
He's measuring my waist and my inseam. Just to have some crepes is probably not worth it.
Not worth it in the end.
Lisa, this has been a fantastic conversation. I love to end our fireside chats with some food questions that are typical to athletes with regards to what are you eating here, what are you eating there type of thing. But from an international perspective, I'm going to ask you this based on food. What countries, so you could just say, go to Europe, go to Asia, go to Africa, go to Australia. What countries, if somebody had all the money in the world and money was no object, where should they go to first based on food?
Oh my God. It's like your Nike, your shoe question. I mean, I love food and I like good food, all kinds of food. I mean, the basic baguette, cheese and ham, butter in France, I love to death. But, a Thai curry, spicy food. I mean, I just had delicious Thai the other day, and it was mouth-watering, the different Thais. So you should go the other way. Don't limit yourself. Try everything. And then you can say, oh, I don't like X. I won't do that again. But, food is such a powerful way to show love. And it's such a enriching and feels so good when you have a good meal. Like I said, a simple tomato. I mean, I've had the best tomato bread and garlic that your mouth is dropping because the tomatoes were so good, and you put a little salt and you're eating it like an apple, and so sometimes it doesn't take much. And I've had the most excellent, little fusion with a branch here and a thing there, and you're like, oh my God. So in presentation, I've been in simple places. You're like, wow, they did all of that just for me.
Right. Yeah.
And presentation, and then you'll go somewhere else, and Mickey D serves beer, and you're like, wow, let's go for it.
Where is that at?
Oh, in Germany and France, you can get beer at McDonald's.
That's amazing. I like the idea of don't limit yourself. I think we tend to do that far too often in everything in life. Like, oh, I'm not going to apply for this promotion because I might get turned down, or I'm not going to apply for this job because I might get turned down. I'm not going to start a business because who's going to buy from me? Um, which I'm going to skew away from those questions for a moment, because I meant to ask you this earlier. Would you consider yourself a risk taker, and have you always been that way?
Nah, I'm a Capricorn. I'm not a risk taker, but I'm not
From
afraid
the
to
from the
try.
person who's yeah, but that makes you a risk taker. From the person that you like, it's a risk to get on a plane, a train, an automobile, to go visit a country, test food that you've never had before. It takes risk to start a company and into the like, because if you
I'm curious. I would use the word
okay,
I'm
great.
curious. Taking risks seems more versus I'm curious to taste and try and experiment and learn.
Yeah. You're not afraid, and does curious mean that you're not afraid to fail, whereas taking a
I'm not
risk, there's
afraid.
risk. Yeah. When you were going to start the ALLMYNE app, how many people said to you, percentage wise, like, you're going to enter the travel space? There's Google Travel, and there's this travel, and there's that. And you were like, I don't care.
We were happy with our idea. We were like, no, we're the first ones. Of course, we're not, but we're the first ones to tweak it our way.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, right? I think oftentimes as entrepreneurs that people stifle their dreams and goals because they're like, yes, but this is out there and that is out there. And I tell this story often, right? We're not the first platform to tell stories of everyday athletes. But what I will tell you is we've been the most consistent over the last 6 years. And we lean into the concept of the everyday athlete. And I have seen other competitors come and go from this space because it's hard work, right? People want to hear stories of Jason. And so if I go to Instagram, I only want to see Jason. But now here's a podcast with Lisa, and here's a story of Santino, and here's a story of Susanna, and here's a story of Larry. It's not just Jason, it's the everyday athlete community and what connects us all. And so again, you nodded your head in the affirmative when you were starting your app, like, yeah, but this is going to be done our way. And if you lean into doing it your way, it does make it unique, and it gives it a greater chance of success as opposed to copy paste.
Yes. And we failed a lot in this app, up and down as we're, creating our path through. So, little blips, little failures, but we're keep striving, we're keep moving forward. We're loving it more and more. I'm always amazed. Like, wow, it's like a baby growing.
Yes. And the only people that know and remember what you're defining as a failure are you and Tom. Like what I see when I use the app, I have no idea what didn't exist, right? Or what was attempted and didn't make it in. I have no clue what it is. I just see the finished product. So try and then try again, even if you fail, because the end user has no idea what those failures were along the way.
Thank you. Those are good words to hold on to as we keep moving forward.
Well, like when I tell people that when we started this business, we were an actual physical print magazine, they're like, no way. And I'm like, yeah. And we did it for like 2 years. And they're like, oh, was it so expensive to print and everything else? And I'm like, no, the expense came in mailing it. Like if I didn't have to mail it, it would be fine. And so we did. We moved to a digital magazine, and we did that for a couple, 3 years. And then I realized, like, I was scrambling to tell stories in a digital magazine, stories on our website, and stories on our podcast. And I was like, why? Like, just put it all into one area, make your life easier, and people will consume it that way. And that's fine. And so I love this mindset of I'm curious and I'm not afraid to fail. So kudos to you on that. That is a great mindset to have as an entrepreneur.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to let you go. But before I do, what's the next place you are either already planned to visit or want to visit?
Where's the next place? My mind's going. which big trip? So like for a short trip, probably will be the Faroe Islands. But the next longer trips will be, Georgia, Azerbaijan, and Armenia, because I like to do groupings. This is something everyone should know since I'm a country counter. And of course, I can't stay months in each place because every country deserves that. But when you do 2 or 3 countries at the same time, historically, it is so rich. You kind of get the stories, like the Ottoman Empire invaded here, but Romania did this, and this country did that. You get the fullness of the story, what they said about the other people next door, and when you're in the other people next door, what they say about that. Your mind just blows about the history. It comes together. When you just do one country, you only hear one mindset at one time, which is wonderful, especially if you can stay a long time. But when you do 2 or 3, the whole region comes together really nicely, really beautifully. So that will be a next big Georgia, Azerbaijan, Armenia, and then, the Silk Road, Mongolia, Bhutan, and then New Zealand, and start the Pacific Islands, clearing those out.
Fascinating. I could talk to you all day because you just reminded me of when we were in Switzerland. We hailed an Uber, and the driver was from Spain, who asked us if we spoke French while we were in Switzerland, and they speak German as well. And 4 Americans who did not speak any of those languages, and I was the best at speaking Spanish, so I was able to talk to him in Spanish. But in that moment, there were 5 people, 5 different cultures, languages, and everything else, and that is what makes travel so amazing. And I wish I had the ALLMYNE app when we were there, because to be able to remember that driver physically, to see his face in a picture, because I absolutely would have taken a picture of him with the app, would have been fantastic. So everybody who's listening, allmyne.com, and it's not M-I-N-E, it's ALLMYNE.com. Check it out, get the app, download it, and pay for the pro. I kid you not, it's not uber expensive. Pay for the pro and be able to share your travel with your friends, and then be able to order the photo albums and send the postcards, because it's unlike anything that you have ever seen in a travel app. So Lisa, thank you for joining me. The app is fantastic. Keep progressing with it, keep staying curious, and keep adding to it.
Thank you.
We'll see you.
See ya. Bye.
For those of you that have stuck around for the last hour, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And I cannot hype up ALLMYNE and the app as much as I possibly can, because we used it when we were in San Francisco. It is amazing how organized is the word I want to use, how organized it is in there, so that when you're on Instagram and you've got to scroll back for months on end to find all of those pictures that you posted there, you don't have to do that here. Your trip is right there, all of the pictures, all of the notes you have, and then order the photo albums and send the postcards out. Come back next week, where we'll be talking to Dr. Joanne Ballard, who is a expert in the mental aspects of endurance sports. And again, check out allmyne.com, ALLMYNE.com, and we'll see you. Thanks, everybody.